Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you a double dose of spoilers. Sorry that I didn't get to them earlier this week, but this is the 2 spoiler articles for this week. We get to see some Will of Despair stuff, as well as the new Wanderer ruler, which is pretty sweet. So let's just go ahead and dig right in with the Will of Despair cards. So we have Gil Lapis, Usurper of Maddening Power. He is a Wanderer. He is a 6/7. It costs 1 white, 1 black, 1 colorless. His Will of Despair and Precision. So keep that in mind. When he enters your field, you can search your deck for a light or darkness chant with total cost 1, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So keep in mind that this can grab the board wipe spell. Pretty strong. And then effects of chants you control cannot cause you to lose life. Damage causes life to reduce, not loss of life. So like you can pay life, you can take damage, but you can't lose life, specifically those words. And it's only chance you control. And he gains +1/+1 for every other resonator that has Will of Despair. So a little bit of the tribal mechanic coming in there. Now, what is he using? He's summoning Excalibur, and that's his spell. So it's our first super rare chant, which is interesting. Heteroclite Excalibur. Chant for 1, not instant speed, says remove target resonator from the game, you lose 500 life. So this becomes, off of Gil Lapis, a 1-drop kill anything for free, because you don't lose the life. So very, very interesting to see kind of Excalibur turned this way. Not to mention the design of that is pretty sick. So really cool effect here. Just even by itself and sealed, this is going to be a very strong card. Next up we have Sylvia, Blade of the Supreme King, another thing of Will of Despair. So 1 green, 1 red, 6/6 swiftness, and when she attacks, target J/res can't block. So if it's a trade of 1/1, you can just force something not to block, and then you get the poke of the 6 damage. So this is probably going to be like our Lancelot replacement in Lapis Cluster, which I think is pretty strong, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens there. Keep in mind, we still haven't seen any of the special stones for this set, so they're not necessarily saying this is going to be very good. But if you're playing the Darkness book, her cost doesn't matter because you can play her for any color, so that's pretty interesting. Next up, we have Valentina, the Crumbling Illusion. So it seems like her Shion body is kind of falling apart. So she is a 7-drop, 8/9. For every resonator in your graveyard, though, you can reduce her colorless cost. So she can be potentially a 2-drop, 8/9. And at the beginning of your turn, so at the start of each of your turns, you just get to reanimate something. That's pretty strong, especially when you're considering the idea of maybe, say, in Lumia, right? Lumia Reanimator. So you use Dance of Shadows at the end of your opponent's turn to bring her in. Then at the start of your turn, you know, she comes in rested. Then at the start of your turn, you bring in another creature. Then you flicker Valentina at the end of the turn so that she survives. And then you get to start reanimating every turn. Pretty strong when you can couple it with that body. So definitely excited to see what happens there. Next up, we have Mikage Seijiro, Patriarch of the Vampires. So he's a 3-drop quick cast 8/8. Pay any amount of life when he enters the field, and you get to give -100 attack to everything your opponent controls until the end of the turn for every 100 life you pay. So a nice little, like, flash in, negate some damage by paying some life, or make him a trade, you know, flash in, make something trade, especially since it does J/res. So imagine most of our rulers right now are 10/10s without regalia, so you can flash him in, pay 3, and then suddenly he can kill it. You know, it only does defend attack though, which kind of makes it probably that he's not going to kill them, but it's kind of interesting. And then whenever a resonator is put into a graveyard from your opponent's field, he gets a +1/+1. So that kind of makes sense. So like you know, flash him in, you maybe kill something, flash him in while you're blocking with something else, to make it so that your thing, you know, a trade would make it so that your guy would stay alive and theirs doesn't, and then he gets some counters, and then suddenly he's bigger and gets bigger as the game goes on. So pretty interesting. Now we have the Mikage Sisters, so the 3 of them are back. They are a 2-drop 5/5 vampire. They can tap to pop a resonator with 200 or less attack, pop to deal 200 damage to your opponent and you gain 200 life, and pop to move a +1/+1 counter to themselves, so they can get stronger. It's kind of cool that we're seeing this vampire support. Definitely excited to see what else comes out of it. I mean, 3 effects on a 2-drop just by tapping is still pretty neat. Next up, last card for this set is the Ambition of Lapis. So it is a 3-drop, so it's black, black 1, chant, destroy target resonator, its controller loses 400 life. Glad this isn't quick cast, otherwise this would be bonkers, especially since it's loss of life. You just kill it, and then they lose 400, especially if you consider against you're playing against Tree, they bring out Alice. Okay, cool, I'll pay 5 and kill you. It's very interesting here, so... Next up, we start to go into the Wanderer ruler. So, Swordsman of Fire. If you read the lore, this is the gentleman who was summoned by Reflect Refrain when Scheherazade sent them. So, pretty interesting here. Judgment of 1 red and 3 colorless. Energize for red. Wanderers gain first strike. So, Wanderer Resonators you control gain first strike. All of them. That is nuts. I really like that. And... as in the other rulers of this format, you can pay his kind of tribal-esque, esque thing with Will of Any attribute. So that's pretty nice. Definitely really like that. It's definitely feeling like the format, especially in Sealed, is nice that all of them are going to have that kind of ability. Definitely kind of weird that they don't have special magic stones, but we'll have to see if the special magic stones are attached to any ruler. Flips over into Dimension Brigade's leader, Adelbert. So I kind of called this when I read the lore. I was like, I feel like Adelbert's going to be a ruler. So 12/12 Wanderer. When he enters the field, you can put a Wanderer Resonator from your hand into the field. And then he gets a bunch of effects. So when a Light Resonator enters, gets +2, 2+1/+1 counters. When a Fire Resonator enters, he deals 500 damage to something. When a Water Resonator enters, you draw a card. When a Wind Resonator enters, he gains Flying and Barrier. When a Darkness Resonator enters your field, your opponent discards a card. So think about this. There's a couple combos that people have already talked about. So we combine him with Gil Lapis, right? And you get... bring him into the field, you get to go search for the spell, he gains +2/+2 in counters, then your opponent discards a card. So, for the judgment cost of 4, you put a 14/14 and a 6/7 out onto the field, and you search for a spell, and you get to make your opponent discard a card. Other thing here is Blackheart Alice. You bring Blackheart Alice, gets the same initial effect, but then Blackheart Alice also grabs Schrodinger, which then triggers, gaining him +2/+2, so he's suddenly a +16/16, and you have Darkheart Alice, who now has first strike along with flying, and you also get your opponent to discard 2 cards, all for a judgment cost of 4. That is awesome. I am very excited to play around with the Wanderer cards. I also like the fact that with him being any color, you can, do things to protect him way easier, like, oh, I don't know, quick cast in a Melfi. Oh, it's cool, he has Flying and Barrier, and then you can negate the damage and just have him kill something without having any risk of dying. Very cool stuff. Definitely looking forward to seeing what he comes out with. Next up, we have Scheherazade, Speaker of Yet Unknown Truths. So she's a 3-drop Will of Despair quick cast. She's an 8/8. When she enters your field, as long as she's in a field, a target Resonator cannot attack, block, and it cannot play its activate abilities. So you just go, flash her in, lock that guy down, call it a day, as long as she's on the field. Very similar to her previous effects, this kind of like stalling out or locking things down. So it's kind of cool to see her come back in that way. And the fact that she's quick cast for 3 green, but in the case of Adelbert, it doesn't matter what colors, is really strong, I think. Now we have Sun Wukong, Enforcer for the Future. We haven't seen Wukong like almost at all since CFC, so he's finally back. So 2 green, 6/5, Wanderer with Flying. And then when he enters your field, you get to bounce a card back to its owner's hand, as long as it's a non-magic stone, non-J/Resonator. So he pops an Addition or a Regalia, puts it back in his hand, which I think is pretty cute. He can also, be used to like, flicker back his own stuff to maybe re-quick cast it or all kinds of different things. So it's not as good as I want it to be. I would love him to be able to pop a Resonator, but I definitely see why he's not allowed to just do that. Do anything. 2-drop, quite a lot of good stats. Being able to bounce anything would be kind of too strong. Next up, we have Words of Scheherazade, which is the Wanderer search spell, just like the others, but it's a little bit better in the fact that you just get to search your deck for a Wanderer. That's pretty nuts for green. So pay 1 green, search your deck for any Wanderer, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. If this was quick cast, it'd be the most bonkers thing ever, and everyone would just play Wanderers, but I like the fact that it still is cheap. So it makes me think that we're going to see Reflect Refrain coming back as Wanderers here too, which is interesting. Next up, we have Interdimensional Space, 2 green as an addition. You can pay 1 less to do Judgment of Wanderer J/Rulers, so it makes him a little cheaper. Wanderer J/Res gain +4/+4, so that's a nice little boost. And you pay 1 green, 1 colorless less to play Wanderer Resonators. So not much of the Wanderer Resonators we have right now have that kind of extra cost, so we definitely want to see what comes out of it. Let me see here. Trying to remember, Valentina's a Wanderer, so that makes her a little nice, and she's blue-black, so it gets you those nice effects with drawing a card and making them discard a card if you flicker her in. Definitely have to see what other Wanderers come out of it, but really cool artwork too. Wukong and Scheherazade kind of moving all around. Definitely cool to see these characters kind of finally getting their dues. And next up, Adelbert's Crossflame, 3-drop quick cast, deals 800 to target Resonator, and every Resonator that shares the name on the board. Kill an elf token, burn every elf, kill Adam Brawley, kill every Adam Brawley, kill Gwyber, deal 800 damage to every Gwyber. I mean, like, this is pretty neat, and it's fact that it's quick cast. This is definitely going to be good in Seal, I think, as good removal. Just, oh, you're playing a lot of the same card, pop it, kill it. Just be careful, though, it says every Resonator, so it also hits your side of the board. Just be careful on that. And then lastly, the card that everyone is hyping up as probably being the strongest card we've seen in a very long time, Severing Winds. So it's 4 costs, quick cast, 2 green, 2 colorless. Just says cancel target spell. Oh wait, I missed something. It says your opponent played 2 or more cards this turn. You can play this card for free. So when they cast their second card, you can cancel it for free. That's really strong. That's very, very strong. So... It's kind of silly that the cards that people are saying they don't really like the artwork on, this one and the final battle, are the cards that are probably some of the strongest we've seen in a long time, especially for Chance. Definitely interested to see how this shapes the meta. Definitely think that it has a really big impact. Can stop a spinning miss for free, can stop all kinds of stuff. So definitely going to slow the format down. I think people are going to have to play more cautiously, especially once Alice Cluster rotates. But that is it for today. Again, thank you so much for being patient with me with the spoilers. I'm going to keep on top of that next week. Deck profiles will be up later this weekend for the Wanderer decks. Let me know what you guys think about this stuff. Do you think it's really strong? Are you excited to see it? Are you hyped about Swordsman of Fire as much as I am? Because I know I sure am. But yeah, let me know. Go ahead and comment down below, like, comment, and subscribe, and share out the video. And until next time, this is DMO73 signing off.